Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5 Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
Yo, what's happening, Rush Nation? It's Tuesday. We're back up and running. And listen, I want to start by saying a massive thank you to you guys. Murf reached out yesterday trying to get us involved with whatever can only be described as absolute madness. A draft starting on Super Bowl Sunday. Crazy. But Murf called the nation to arms and you guys responded, so thank you very much.
Yeah, really awesome to watch you guys just take over his timeline on Twitter. For quite a while. He's big on Instagram, but you know we're better on Twitter. We find it's a better communication tool. So yeah, to have a load of people tweet us, the British are coming. He got so annoyed towards the end of it as well.
The GIF game was incredible. GIF, whatever, was incredibly strong. Everybody had a different British GIF.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Very few duplicates, which was impressive. So yeah, I sent that to a ton of people in the morning. Thanks so much for doing it. I didn't expect to get a response that quickly, but we're not done yet, because whilst we have a spot, we want to get listeners some spots. So if you don't know what we're talking about, there is a guy on Instagram, and it's the Fantasy Football Show, or at the Fantasy Football Show on Instagram or on Twitter. He's at _Smitty, SMITTY_show on Twitter, or his YouTube, which is the Fantasy Football Show, if you search that. Now, this guy's been in the industry for a long time. CBS Radio, works for Sleeper U, ranks on Fantasy Pros. He's a legit ranker, legit fantasy analyst. And this guy is putting on a crazy 96-team tournament. Now, you know, we hosted a 256-team tournament, but the difference with this is all 96 teams draft in the same draft. So literally. So
does that mean the first round is 96 teams?
Correct. Every round is 96.
What does that equate down to normal fantasy wise?
What, in terms of?
Like, because obviously there's a certain amount of each player available, isn't there?
So what's going to happen is he is putting 8 players or 8 times of each player into the player pool. So realistically, if Christian McCaffrey is the 101,
if he falls to number 9,
well, yeah. So basically, you could have the first 8 picks be CMC, 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 CMC. No more CMCs. So then the 109 might be Dalvin Cook, and then that might be all the way through. So what will happen is, if you're stuck at the end of that round, you're not going to get necessarily the premier. But then again, if you think you're not picking for every 96 picks, if you're on the ends there.
But it's the same, surely.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same principle, right? You're going to get an opportunity to double up in some areas and really struggle in others. So it's a really crazy format. It's also just 3 bench spots.
Yeah, that's mad.
So it's going to be absolute carnage. This tournament is incredible, which is why we wanted in. I was like, right, we've got to get in. So I'm chuffed that we're in, but also don't want to be the only Brit. So for all of you that have participated so far, just keep doing what you're doing. Find his pinned tweet on Twitter. Find him on Instagram. Like his post. Interact with him. Say that at 5 Yard Rush sent us. Promote his league. Promote him. He is a cool guy. He does a podcast. He does everything. He's YouTube shows. So follow him on YouTube. Subscribe to him. I'll put links in the show notes, or Stocks will. But yeah, just follow him and embrace, and just get at him and say, I heard this league's cool. 5 Yard Rush boys are in it. We want to represent Britain. We want to take this tournament down. Make some noise. Get a spot, because, and then what we will do, hopefully he gives us a couple of spots by you guys interacting, because he knows we're the best community out there. And then what we'll do is everybody that has participated, we will raffle off the spots, or we might just get people combined to play, so we get more people involved. We'll work out how you guys want to do it, but let's get a couple of spots from this guy and get in so that he knows that hashtag the British are coming.
Just fill up everything he's got.
That's it.
Just keep going at him.
But he's just an awesome guy. I was chatting to him on DMs. He's just a top guy. He's doing what we're doing. We're hustling. We're grinding. He's
funny as well.
He is funny. He's funny. He's got a good sense of humour. But actually, his takes are solid. I've been following on Instagram for a while now, and he's knowledgeable. He's a cool guy, and I think we're going to try and get him on here as well. He's agreed to come on. We just got to work out the logistics and timings and stuff. But yeah, just do that. Just get involved. Let's get a couple of spots for the nation. Let's get everyone in, and then let's take this tournament down. And
Hashtag the British are coming.
Hashtag the British are coming. That was class. I loved it.
You better watch out, Smitty. You better watch out, bro.
That's right.
So, Murf, we've got 2 Listener League winners still to claim their T-shirts. Do you know who they are off the top of your head?
Yeah, I'm speaking to one, so just got to get that sorted. The other one is Dave Long. So, Dave, if you're listening.
Dave, man.
Haven't heard from you. I can chase you through other portals. I just haven't yet. But just get back in contact with me, and we'll get those sorted out. We're just waiting on those last details, and we'll get T-shirts pushed out to people ASAP.
And then Dermy. We've still got your shirt, mate. You won it. Congratulations. Let us know you won it.
Yeah. Come on, Dermy. I know you listen too, so
pull your finger out.
Maybe it's the whole Christmas thing, but listen, really want you to claim it, so just reach out to us. You know where to find us. You're typically a Facebook Messenger guy, so just get in touch via Facebook Messenger.
Or Sleeper.
Yeah, or claim your shirt, mate. It's a signed Deontay Foreman Texan shirt, so look good on your wall. Yeah, we can take down Corey Davis.
Yeah, we should take down Corey. In fact, we have a Peyton Barber to go up.
We have a Peyton Barber to go up. It's just over there in the corner, so we'll definitely swap it out at some point.
And we're going to get a Josh Allen.
Oh, we will.
I keep chasing the helmet, Murph, but people want that helmet way too much.
Well, maybe not after Sunday, or Saturday, but we'll get to that.
Okay, fair. So, yeah, 2020 Listener Leagues, Rush Nation. We're sorting out ideas for them. It was a big success last year. So tweet us at 5 Yard Rush what types of leagues you would like to play in next season. Don't know how many we're going to do. We're going to keep it. Well, we're obviously going to have the Champions League or the Champions
of Champions.
And
so, yeah, the Champions of Champions is going to happen. Everyone knows about that. That's if you finished first place in one of the listener leagues or runners-up in any of the ones that we won. Plus, we had a spot in case we bombed. I don't know why we did that as insurance, because we were obviously going to take something down. To take 2 was good. But it just means, listen, we like crazy, wacky ideas. We put some really crazy leagues. A wide receiver only league. We did a starters only with no bench league with a ton of IDP spots. Just get in touch if you want to try something. Dan Johnson, shout out to Dan. He got in touch. And said he heard of a really cool idea, which was a Jersey League, and we're definitely going to do that. I'm going to keep that to people who are really active with the pod.
Talking of that, if you become a Patreon over on patreon.com/5 Yard Rush, and you are a Patreon, even if you've just gone into the tip jar level, you can automatically get into that shirt league, because that shows you are a higher ranked member of the nation, shall we say.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're on our Patreon, that gets you access to all the tournaments that we will do that have exclusivity. So the FFCC is coming back in 2020. We've had over 100 people already fill it up. It's the beginning of January, which is mad. But if you are a paid member of the pod, you are supporting the podcast, you get automatic entry into that, no questions asked. And with any other exclusive tournaments, so such as that, exclusive leagues, exclusive events we do, that is it. You will get in. So we put a tip jar up over Christmas. If you just want to chuck us a couple of bucks to say, hey, you helped us win a league, just do that. Anything we get allows us to put on really cool prizes, really cool events, more giveaways. We don't take any of the money, as we've said before. Everything goes back to you guys. So it's just allowing us to get bigger and better.
Yeah, and you might also end up with a pretty sweet hoodie or T-shirt as well if you join one of the bigger tiers.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. So we did the other tiers where it's slightly more investment, but you already get something out of it with the hoodies. And I know it's off season. We're going to do a lot of cool stuff. The guys have all been coming together with ideas. This pod doesn't die. It will be out every week, at least 2 times a week, if not more. Got some amazing guests. We've got some amazing stuff to do, amazing stuff to give away. So just keep topping up the fund, and that will really help us do even more.
Yeah. Oh, and not to mention, Valentine's is only a month away. So if you're listening and you know that your partner would like a hoodie or a T-shirt, don't necessarily have to sign up to the Patreon. If you @ us on Twitter, we can send you some of the designs and the prices for either of those. Shop's not up and running yet. We are working on that desperately hard. But yeah, if you fancy a bit of merch, you can get sort of exclusive advancement on that. Because if you @ us on Twitter or Facebook or Insta, send us a little DM and we can send you some designs and some costs, and you can go for it that way.
That's right. And they're cool. You can see, because this is finally out on YouTube, I'm wearing one of the new designs, which Stock's got me for Christmas. Never Flex on Thursday. So this is one of the exclusive designs.
Can't get one of these. This is a staff jumper. So
they're
sorry.
one of the originals. So yeah, and the last thing we need, we've kind of asked for a lot this week, but do you know what? We put this out for free. We've given you hundreds of hours of entertainment. I don't mind having the begging bowl out before we start the show proper. Reviews, keep asking every week. Please just keep topping up the reviews. It helps to scale the rankings. You know, we finished above podcasts over Christmas, such as the DDFP, the Pick 6 podcast from CBS with Will Brinson.
Who?
Who exactly?
It just felt like WWE movement. They just keep who?
So listen, just please write us reviews. If you've written us one and want to write us another, steal your wife's or husband or partner or whoever, mother, sister, cousin, train buddy, whoever, phone for a little bit and just write us a review. Just really helps us again elevate and gets us noticed. There were people like Smitty who had never heard of us, and we just said, right, you never heard of us? We bought the noise.
Watch this.
So reviews help escalate that. We get on more people's radars, and all of a sudden it's instead we've got people that are asking to come on this podcast. Really good fantasy analysts. I had one today who was on another podcast, and I sent a message saying really loved it. He's got a new book coming out. And he said, actually, I'd really love to come on your podcast.
It better not be Joe Piece-a-Peer.
It's not Joe Piece-a-Peer, don't worry. Joe Piece-a-Peer is... Listen, Joe's got an open invite. He comes back.
For sure. I was just thinking it can't be Joe time again. It was only Christmas Day we last heard him.
Listen, it's always Joe time. Everybody needs a little bit of Joe in their lives. But no, it's someone new, someone I don't think many people would have heard of, but really, really enjoyed the podcast he was on, and he's going to be on in a couple of weeks' time, so I'm not going to go into too much because I don't want to spoil it.
Well, Joe's coming back.
Not Joe, this other guest.
I don't even know who this is. Like, guys,
I know you don't, because it's only happened the last couple of hours.
Okay, fair. So, yeah.
I'll tell you after.
Okay, cool. So why don't we talk some Wildcard Weekend, because I think overall it was a pretty good weekend, football-wise.
I thought the first 3 games were exceptional. I think as good a Wildcard Weekend I can remember. Maybe the 2012 playoffs, they were quite exceptional, but I think I really look forward. I like the lineup. Some of the games I was a bit concerned about turned out to be great.
One of them was a terrible squib.
That Seahawks Eagles game might be one of the worst games of football I've seen. I turned it off with, I think, maybe 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So Dave Mongren, who's our Vikings fan, he was obviously ecstatic. He dropped me a message on Twitter. And he was like, yeah, I'm so buzzed. And I was like, yeah, and now we've got the Seattle Eagles game. And I don't know if I've got it in me to watch this game. Because I told you last week, this will be the lowest scoring game of the weekend. I told you that it will be, and you were like, no, it's the second highest line. Finished as the lowest scoring game of the weekend by quite some distance as well. It was terrible. Yeah, it was as bad as I knew it was going to be.
I have to admit, I have not seen anything of it, not even a tiny little bit.
There's no need to. Literally, DK Metcalf is the only reason to watch that game. Russell Wilson was fine; he did well, but really, it was the DK Metcalf show. You can kind of forget anything else that happened.
Okay.
But we'll cover the Wildcard Weekend now, I guess.
Well, so yeah, let's start with the Texans coming back from 16-0 down to beat the Bills 22-19 in overtime. Big comeback from Deshaun Watson and company. I went to bed. I had to be up stupid early Sunday, so I think I went to bed about 10:30 our time. So that was midway through the... No, I don't even...
It was about half time.
Yeah, I went to bed at half time. I was going to say midway through the third, but I didn't see any of the third because the Bills were winning 16-0. And I thought, well, this one's got to be over because the Bills are playing lights out so far. And then I woke up and they'd lost 22-19.
This game was crazy. This is an example of a team that just lost a little bit of confidence when it really mattered. That's really all there is to say. They absolutely dominated the first 3 quarters of this game, minus the last couple of minutes. They were really, really good, the Bills. They came out, the D was strong. Texans were struggling, just couldn't get anything going at all. It was 13-0 at half time, and they just really had it sort of by the horns, went 16-0 up. And then it was on the drive towards the end of the third quarter that Deshaun Watson scrambled in, and then all of a sudden it just seemed to be that the Texans just had control, and the Bills forgot what they were doing. They gave the ball to Frank Gore. They stopped. They moved away from what was successful. Josh Allen, he looked scared. He looked really nervous. The touchdown happens, and really from that point on, you kind of knew where this was going to go, and then. Then they get actually 19-16 up, and then the Bills put together a really good gutsy drive at the end there to get the extra field goal to tie the game. It was like 11 plays, something like that. So went to overtime. This game went a long way into overtime. I think there was only 3 minutes left. I really thought at one point it was going to go second overtime. Both teams had a possession, didn't get very far, and then the Texans went all the way down a 73-yard drive and, ended up taking it in with a field goal. So, big disappointment for... I thought Josh Allen played for 3 quarters of this game. I thought he played very well. He made some horrible mistakes in the fourth quarter. I think he lost 30 yards on 2 plays. One was like a lateral that just went backwards. And
intentional grounding as well, wasn't it?
He just got frazzled, and the play calling went negative there. I always felt if they got to 20 points, actually Sukdeep, who is a Tampa Bay fan, we were chatting, and the Texans fumbled the ball, and it was 13-0 at the time. And he's like, that's it, it's game over. And I went, no, if they score the touchdown and they get to 20, this game's over. And then they kick the field goal, and that just gives the Texans... I always just believe the Texans with...
a sniff.
When it's 2 scores, I always think that with what they've got on offense, they can just about get back into it. I think if they got to 20, this game was done. So it's those fine margins, but they'll learn and they'll get better. I still think they've had an exceptional year. A lot of people decide to slate Josh Allen when they praised him in the first. I really hate that when people praise a performance. He was so good in the first half, and yes, okay, he had a really bad fourth quarter, probably as bad as anyone could have. But he's a very young quarterback. I think he showed a lot of guts, a lot of heart. First playoff performance. He just unfortunately didn't get it done, but he wasn't the only one that let his side down.
No, not at all. Let's move on to the next game, and then the Patriots got dumped out of the playoffs after a 2013 defeat to the Titans. This is Brady's last. Is this Brady's last game in New England?
This game was weird.
I was in the land of nod by now.
Yeah, the thing is, I watched this game the following morning, so I didn't know too much about the score, and then I saw a text, and I was like, oh, okay, fine, now I know what it is. But I tried to watch it with fresh eyes, even though it was the morning, and the Patriots played... I don't think they played as badly as everyone's really cutting into them to believe. And, they held Ryan Tannehill to 72 yards passing. So it's not like they were immediately bad. And Tom Brady wasn't terrible either. He got let down. Edelman drops one in the fourth quarter. Changes the game. And I mean, we're talking dollies here. He's dropping dollies. I had caught that, and so would you. Sony Michel didn't get it done. James White looked good. They just didn't have enough weapons, and it looked very clear and obvious that everyone's saying like Brady's shot. I don't think he is. There was no one there to pass to. There was no one there to really connect with. The D was good again, but the man of the hour was Derrick Henry off the back of winning the rushing title. I mean, he carried the ball 34 times in this game.
Hasn't he had it something like 67 times in the last 2 weeks or something stupid like that?
Absolute workhorse. So he carried the ball for 34 times for 182 yards. He also had a 22-yard reception. So he had 204 yards from scrimmage in this game.
Big day.
Absolutely massive day.
That was a huge proportion of his team's offense, right?
Oh, it was almost all of it. I mean, barring 76 yards of passing, 72 from Tannehill, and Mariota came in for one play. And then there was 19 other rushing yards. So you're talking about 76. You're talking about 95 yards from all other players. It's just not. It doesn't
66 or odd percent there.
Yeah, ridiculous amount. And the thing was, what was impressive is that the Patriots were leading at halftime. The Titans, just before the half, the Titans drove the ball and really drove the ball down. And I think Derrick Henry got every yard on that drive, and literally every yard on the drive for all 75 yards of it to take the lead. It was 7 plays for 75 yards right before the half. 1 play before the 2-minute warning, and everything just went to him. So it was a great performance from them. And then everyone will talk about the pick six. Ultimately, it didn't really change the outcome of the game. It's 14-13. The Titans went for 2 to try and ice the game. Didn't do it. It actually, with that outcome, actually gave the Patriots a slight bump in percentage to win the game, believe it or not. Because at 14-13, they're on their own. I think it was like their 6. They were penned in deep. So what happened was it was 9, the 9-yard line. So what happened was Logan Ryan takes it in for the touchdown, moves it from 14 to 20. They missed the 2-point conversion, but there's more likelihood to return a kickoff than there is to go, because there was only 10, 20 seconds on the clock. So it was 9 seconds on the clock. So, in terms of to go 80 or 91, 92 yards in 9 seconds, or to try and do it on a kick return, what's more likely? Unfortunate. I don't know whether this is Brady's last game in New England. I'm not going to speculate.
Do you think if Belichick leaves, Brady goes too?
Well, I don't think Belichick's leaving. We'll get on to why in a minute in the news, because it's been a crazy day from coaching hires. So I don't think Belichick leaves. And if Belichick's not leaving, I don't think that's really the end-all be-all for Brady. I think it's a case of, does he really believe that he's going to get one more shot to go to the dance with this team, or is that really it? And if that's the case, where does he go to? The decision is entirely Brady's. I think, as much as I'm not a Patriots fan, I think it would be a real shame for him to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
I really do. I think it'd be nice to see him go one more year at New England and retire gracefully. But I don't think he was as much the reason for them losing this game as people have really made out. And I know a lot of people were really happy and really dug out Patriots fans. And you're like, fine, but I didn't really like it Monday morning or Sunday morning with all the Facebook groups and everything we're in, where I appreciate that the Patriots have won a lot of games and have won a lot of titles, and it's nice to have a new winner, and I don't dispute that, but it was very tribal and people were attacking Patriots fans. I really hated it. I was like, this is why, they're the things I really hate about soccer, was just having a laugh and joke. I'll text my mates when their team loses and it's banter, but I wouldn't actively go out to a bunch of people I don't know and provoke them when their team have lost. Yeah. And I think, you can be a little bit in jest, but there were some really nasty comments, and I didn't like that, to be honest, and I think it showed a lack of grace and class. But oh well, we've got new champions this year, and it'll be good. Yeah,
I mean, I've been on the end of some Patriots backlashing, and I'm not even a Patriots fan, or wasn't even saying, so yeah. I feel it's not really needed, is it, to be fair, but I suppose people want something new, and this time we're going to get it, like you say. So the next game I did watch, the Vikings caused the biggest shock of the weekend, beating the Saints 26-20 in overtime with a touchdown pass by Kirk Cousins to Kyle Rudolph after an absolute deep dime to Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
There was some huge passes in that game. Taysom Hill unleashed an absolute monster.
Yeah, I mean, there were two sides to this. There was the Taysom Hill side where he was absolutely phenomenal. Definitely his best game of his career. We got some stats in the streets later, but he was absolutely brilliant. But I thought Breeze didn't look like Breeze for the second year in a row coming into the playoffs. I don't think he had a good game. Yards per attempt were down. Everything was kind of down in their performance. Kamara looked jaded, didn't look sharp, couldn't break a tackle. You had Thomas was restricted because the ball wasn't getting to him. No one else really in that supporting cast did anything. Jared Cook didn't see a lot of the ball. Thought the D was good. Didn't think it was exceptional.
The Vikings D was pretty good.
They were fantastic. They were really after it. And do you know what? Kirk Cousins, he gets a hard time, but I really liked when he was in the locker room afterwards. And there's that meme where he goes, "You like that?" And he went to everyone in the dressing room and went, "You like that?" And I thought, what a way to silence your critics. And congratulations to Kirk Cousins. It's the shock of the weekend, but a fantastic performance and why we love the playoffs.
Yeah, and I, it was the biggest shock probably. But then considering last week we said it wouldn't be that much of a shock if the Vikings did beat the Saints, and I said they would cover the 7.5 on the pod, and going into overtime that was it, because you're only ever going to score six in for a TD, so they covered going into overtime, win or lose, and their D was, they mixed it up big time, and apparently they've credited the Atlanta Falcons D for when they played the Saints, and the Falcons beat the Saints by using a lot of pressure up the middle, and there was a lot of times where Danielle Hunter and Emerson Griffin were put into the middle of the defensive line, and I think, I don't know how many sacks they had between them, but Griffin and Hunter were good all day.
I thought Danielle Hunter was absolutely fantastic, and I believe in the last 2, maybe even 3 seasons, he leads the league in terms of fumbles and forced interceptions. And turnovers from quarterback pressures.
Wow.
Over everybody, including Aaron Donald, and he's been absolutely outstanding. And even that secondary, which hasn't looked great, did a good job. Couldn't cover Taysom Hill for Toffee, but everybody else kind of was kept in check. But
have you seen the meme of Taysom Hill where it says Sean Payton asks Taysom Hill what position you play, and Taysom Hill replies with yes. Just plays everything.
Yeah, he does. He's great, and there was a lot of great performances all around. But we said that the Saints are one of those teams that can lose to anybody, and
they are the epitome of any given Sunday, aren't they?
They really are. They're the team that I just, I remember when everyone was picking the Saints on the Christmas Day show, and I was like, I just don't buy it. I just do not back them to win those games. They've now lost six games in the playoffs. The last 6 times they've been eliminated from the playoffs, they've lost by 1 score. And it's the 3rd consecutive year that they've gone out on the last play. And you can put it down to bad luck or bad calls, and that's not PI for me. Maybe I should have looked at it more, but if you're going to call that as PI, you're going to call that 20 times a game. I just think, let's not be sad losers about it. You're beaten by a better football team on the day. The Vikings thoroughly deserved to win the game. The outcome was correct. I don't think it was a big controversy. I don't want it to be a big controversy, but
certainly not as big as last year, anyway.
No, absolutely not.
And then the last one we've mentioned, the Seahawks. They won the Battle of the Birds 7-9 in a game overshadowed by Carson.
17-9.
17-9, apologies. In a game overshadowed by Carson Wentz leaving with a concussion.
Yeah, he went down to Jadeveon Clowney. He should, for me, have been ejected in this game.
Do you think he should have been ejected for the initial hit or for following afterwards, then going with his head?
I think if you go helmet to helmet on somebody like that and they're knocked out of the game, you've got to go. End of.
Because it wasn't your quintessential helmet to helmet, was it? In the
fact that it's hard to prove intent, right? Am I saying Jadeveon Clowney went in there and intentionally hurt
Carson Wentz?
Carson Wentz, absolutely not. I wouldn't say that of many people unless it's absolutely clear as day. We've had a few instances where that's happened. Vontaze Burfict, for example, right? But I do think just casually out there. But I do think that particular example, when you go helmet to helmet on a quarterback, it cannot stand. And regardless of whether you mean it or not, Carson Wentz's playoff career might be over. They might. I mean, I doubt it, given that division, right? But ultimately, you're looking at this saying that his game and his season was ended by that contact that really is illegal, because helmet to helmet is not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if it's not allowed and it's knocked him out of the game, you have to eject Clowney for me. Just end of, especially on a quarterback. I think you'll sometimes get some. If you've got one where you're diving in and you make the tackle with the helmet, that's it. You got to go. If it's one where it's a clashing ahead, both players are running towards the same moving ball, and it happens, and it's clearly accident. And that's clearly accidental when both are trying to receive a ball where they clash heads. That's completely different to one player is holding on to the ball and the other one dives in to make the tackle.
Yeah.
So I think he should have gone. And Josh McCown, 40 years old, just bless him, effort incredible, execution not so.
They lost their best wide receiver when Josh McCown had to go and play quarterback.
Yeah, I almost thought I was going to get morphed through the TV to go and play wide receiver here. So, I don't want to spend any more time on this game. It was pretty poor. Seahawks advance. They get the Packers next. That'll be an interesting game. But
it's going to be snowy as well, isn't it, apparently?
It's going to be cold. Definitely cold. It's going to be probably around 24.
And then in Baltimore, isn't it going to be like 14 degrees or something absolutely balmy?
Could be Baltic, yeah. No, thanks.
Yeah, I'm good. Right then, let's do some news because today has been absolutely madness.
Yeah, I've written this about 8 times because every time I think I'm done.
So are you done, or we can roll in now?
Yeah, I haven't had anything through. I've got Rap Sheet open. That's why I keep checking my phone for other bits and pieces. I haven't had anything overly significant other than the first item is now being completely and officially confirmed by the Panthers, which is that Matt Rule is officially the Carolina Panthers head coach. I'm looking at a Twitter feed that was posted 7 minutes ago. Matt Rule is officially the coach of the Carolina Panthers.
Now, if you're not into college football, who's he? I hear you cry.
Matt Rule is coach of Baylor,
which is in Texas.
Yeah, we learned that last week. Had a pretty good season this year, where they made a bowl game, got beat by Oregon. Actually, absolutely thumped by them, really. The scoreline was closer than really the game suggested. But he's credited with really turning that program around, bringing in good ethos. He's a coach that players really respond to. In fact, in preparations for the bowl game, he actually told them that he was going for head coaching interviews, and let them know. And the players actually really appreciated his honesty and the upfrontness that he is. He's someone that's got a bit of a bag of tricks, good play caller. He should be quite an exciting coach. It looked all the while he was probably going to go to New York, very strong New York ties, but he went to Carolina. He met with Dave Tepper. Dave Tepper made him an offer he couldn't refuse, which was a 7-year, $62.5 million deal, which is an obscene amount of money for a first-time head coach. And then on top of that, he then turned around and said, well, I technically still have an appointment with the Giants. So he gave the Giants the opportunity to guarantee that they would match that to get on a plane. They said no, and we'll say why in a minute. And he is now the Carolina Panthers head coach. And I think Panthers fans should be relatively excited. You get a lot of college coaches that, I say a lot in relation to the grand scheme of things. There's not hundreds of openings every year. So he's one I think can step up and do a job. And I think it'd be really exciting to see what he does next season. Whether they keep Cam, they've got a lot of things to sort out. But if I was a Carolina Panthers fan tonight, I'd be pretty happy with Matt Rule based on what I've seen over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Antonio, let us know how you're feeling.
Absolutely.
And who else do we know that's a Panthers fan?
I'm sure we know a few. Rob?
Yeah. And anyone else. Just let us know what you feel about it. Just mention the Giants.
The other Rob as well. Pitsy's mate, who you saw at the...
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Was that
the NFL
was
game.
that Rob?
That was a Rob.
Sorry, Rob. I'm very sorry.
You're bad with names. I didn't even meet him. You did.
Yeah, we did, yeah. I definitely know. I remember Pitsy and then his friend Rob, who may or may not have been called Rob. I don't remember. I'm very
sure
sorry.
His name is Rob.
If it wasn't Rob, then I'm right, but I'm pretty sure it was
I can
probably
verify
Rob.
this fact quite quickly for you, don't worry.
All right, so I'll move on anyway. The Patriots special team coach Joe Judge is the new New York Giants head coach. Murph's giving me the thumbs up. It was Rob.
Here's Rob.
Rob's not the head coach of the New York Giants, but... Well, Rob, if you are listening, let us know what you think about the Carolina Panthers' new hire. So Patriots special team coach, like I just mentioned, Joe Judge but it's not been announced yet?
Not officially. It's all sort of gone through the Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter world have leaked, according to sources. He's told Bill Belichick, but it's not officially been announced like Matt Rule was just a few moments ago. Joe Judge he's 38. There's not a lot to tell about him. He is the special teams coach for the Patriots. He's also was this season the wide receivers coach as well to fill a hole there. We know in recent years lots of coaches have come from that Belichick coaching tree where you've had Brian Flores down in Miami. You've got Mike Vrabel at Tennessee, who just knocked the Patriots out. You've got Matt Patricia in Detroit. You've got quite a few that have been scattered around. But this current crop of coaching staff, I thought Brian Flores did an amazing job this year. Mike Vrabel, arguably probably the best so far of all the Belichick disciples. But Joe Judge is someone who has been getting additional support from Bill Belichick himself. Bill Belichick speaks very highly of him. He's someone who has gone out of his way to actually mentor him about how to build a program and coach a team. So even though he's 38 and he's young, Bill Belichick has personally mentored Joe Judge. He's been with the Patriots organization nearly 8 years. So everyone's going to make the comp to John Harbaugh because he was a special teams coach before he coached the Baltimore Ravens and won a Super Bowl and has now got the number 1 seed again. But ultimately, there is a decent track record of special teams coordinators becoming head coaches in the NFL. And I think Belichick and Harbaugh both have been screaming for a while for a special teams coordinator to get a chance at head coach. And tonight it looks like we've got one in Joe Judge, and we'll see what happens. But I actually have to commend the Giants organization for doing something a bit out of the box. You know, I thought they'd go with
Matt Rule.
Yeah, Matt Rule, because he's just been linked with them and, has been connected with that organisation and is from the area. Or they'd go down McDaniel's route, or, a lot of talk about Jason Garrett, who we'll come to in just a moment. And, to go with, everyone was like, I didn't even know he'd interviewed. He interviewed last week for the job. I think it's an astute hire potentially, and it's different. I think if I was a Giants fan, I'd be pretty pleased as well, because normally they go out, they get an underwhelming head coaching choice who has come from it's got a bit of a reasonable success at coordinator, but hasn't set the world alight. They tend to hire young coordinators. I mean, Pat Shermer had a coaching job with the Browns that wasn't all too successful. Ben McAdoo is probably one of the worst coaches I've ever seen. So I like the fact they've done something a little different, and if it doesn't work out, you can't say they didn't take a shot. So, yeah.
Talking of the Giants, well, we don't know yet on this one, but Jason Garrett has been finally fired from Dallas, and this was announced in a very Jerry Jones way during the Eagles playoff game.
Yeah, not bitter at all, was he?
No, not at all. Jason Garrett's been in talks with the Giants.
Yep, so the Giants requested permission to... This was quite a funny turn of events, because about 30 minutes before Joe Judge was leaked to be the head coach, and I've got no doubt that was leaked because of this link, Jason Garrett, the New York Giants organization, requested to speak to Jason Garrett, and everyone was thinking, here we go, Jason Garrett's going to be the new head coach of the New York Giants, and then I think they realised that actually they can't let that go on too long. So I think they definitely leaked the Joe Judge news. So
it's gone on long enough.
It's gone on long enough. So there were a lot of people that had 30 minutes of fun out there. I think there's a podcast. I think it might be the CBS Today, Football Today podcast, where actually that whole thing goes in real time, where they start just as Matt Rule was announced as head coach of the Panthers, and they're talking about that. Then it's just sort of announced that Jason Garrett's been requested for permission to speak, and halfway through the podcast, it gets announced that Joe Judge, it's quite a special moment, it's quite worth a listen to if you don't listen to it, was the head coach. What? As head coach? What? Because one of them's a Giants fan. It was great. But it does look like that Jason Garrett is going to be considered to be the new offensive coordinator. So that's what he's going to be interviewed for, not for the head coaching position.
Okay, cool. So Mike McCarthy has been hired as the Dallas Cowboys head coach on a 5-year deal.
Yeah, I like this hire. Again, I think he had to go in Green Bay. It was stale. He was losing the power struggle to Aaron Rodgers. I think it was something that was getting to the point where it just wasn't working anymore. And someone had to go, and it had to be Mike McCarthy. But I think it's a reasonably good appointment because he's a winner. He's got a ring. He gets teams to playoffs. Jerry wants to compete. And I think if you're Mike McCarthy, you look at the situation you got fired from a year ago, I would say that Dallas is probably an upgrade. I know that the Packers are 13-3 and the 2 seed in the NFC. I can't help that a combination of a tough schedule mixed with some very fortunate circumstances led to them getting that result and getting to where they are. Whereas I look at that Dallas roster from top to bottom and think almost everywhere it's better. It's a better offensive line. It's a better wide receiver core. All right, it's not as good a quarterback, but Dak Prescott's not a bad quarterback. You can work with him. He's not bottom 10. He's
one of the best running backs.
Yeah, you've got arguably one of the 2-3 best running backs in the league. Like I said, probably the second best offensive line in the league. You've got a pretty good defensive front. Secondary needs some work, safety, cornerbacks.
Probably the best linebacking core, though.
But great linebacking core, make a lot of tackles. And young, too. Young line. I mean, you got Sean Lee, who probably needs replacing, but you got Van Der Esch, who's young, who I really like. I think there's a lot to work with. If you're Mike McCarthy, you're looking at that situation thinking, if I can just get on with Jerry Jones, that's not a bad job. But he needs to get some coordinators.
Yeah, for sure. There's a decent team there that just needs to be untapped. Mike Nolan, former 49ers head coach who hired McCarthy to be his OC for a season, will be the new DC in Dallas.
Yeah, so Mike Nolan was coach of the 49ers. He hired McCarthy the year before he became Green Bay coach. So really, I think Mike McCarthy got the Green Bay job on the back of his year with the 49ers. So he owes a lot to Mike Nolan, and he's paid him back by giving him a job in Dallas. Who the OC will be, yet to be determined. But again, anytime you can get a former head coach as your coordinator, it's a real position of strength.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at Todd Bowles at Tampa a lot this season. And I know he wasn't the best head coach in the world in New York. I don't think he was terrible. He had to go. He deserved to go. Time was up. But his experience, 5 years as a head coach in the NFL, and now he turned that defense around, especially second half of the season. And I think when you've got that, and you've been a head coach, you command that. You're used to leading, and you command the room a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think guys like that really do a good job, probably more so than up-and-coming guys, because they don't know how far they can stretch the limit. Whereas if you've been a head coach and you've been fired for being a head coach, it's not that you don't care. You do care. You want to do a good job for the guy who's hired you, but you know what you can and can't get away with.
Yeah.
It does look like Kellen Moore, I've just been reading, might retain his job as the OC next year, but he will have to learn the Mike McCarthy offense.
Okay. That'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
So we talked about Wade Phillips, the Rams' defensive coordinator, last week, and the Rams are going to move on for him when his contract runs out at the end of the month. I saw his sort of exit tweet, and it said that he thanked the Rams for his 3 years in charge and still feels like he has something to offer the league at the position or as a coordinator of some sort. So, what he did in Denver was good, and it'd be nice to see him continue in the league.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're talking about a former head coach who has been a coordinator for many years. He's going to offer something to somebody. I'm looking at these new guys, so I'm looking at Joe Judge, I'm looking at Matt Rule, and thinking Wade Phillips might be, if you can convince Wade Phillips to go. We've seen first-year head coaches, we talked about Freddie Kitchens a lot, on this podcast how he just tried to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
If I was one of these two guys, I'd be on the phone being, Wade, come up for an interview. Let's talk. I'll give you... That's what Sean McVay did. Let's not forget. Sean McVay, 3 years ago, he got the job as an offensive genius. Wasn't the best defensive mind. Didn't have to be. Never really dealt with it. What did he do? He went and got Wade Phillips and went, there you go. You take care of that side of the ball. I don't want to know. I'll deal with the offense. You deal with the defense. I'll get you weapons. I'll get you what you need. You just do you.
Yeah.
And you couldn't ask as a first-time head coach for a better guy than Wade Phillips as your DC, at bar none. So if I was Matt Rule, if I was Joe Judge, I'd have already tried to make contact. I'd be like, right, come in. Let's have a chat. What is it going to take? Because if any of those programs can get him, they're going to be in a good place.
100%. So this next one, I've got a bit of beef with Josh Drink on this one. So Tua has declared that he's coming into the NFL 2020 draft. Now, every now and again, Josh sends me a message saying my source. I think he's in some sort of Madden league or something, and there's a guy in there who claims to have all these sources and stuff, and he keeps sending me this message. He's like, oh, Tua's gonna stay in the college for one more year because he's gone to see a specialist in New York, and it's done well for his knee, so he's gonna... I said, what are you talking about? Why having a good knee now before the draft means he'll stay in college? Because it raises his draft stock. You know, before Joe Burrow had his year this year, Tua was the quarterback of that draft class.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Tua now he's going to go in the top 5.
Yeah,
but he's going to go in the top 5. Does it matter if you go at 1 or 5? It doesn't really. The difference is he's going to lose out over the course of a contract $1-2 million.
And going at 1 to the Bengals, who are quarterback needy, if they take Burrow and somehow the next coming teams pass on him, or the Chargers who are at 6,
yep,
they might trade up. He could land at LA, which is a far better location than Cincinnati.
I would be shocked if he goes anywhere, and it's so early, if he goes anywhere other than Miami. I think this has worked out brilliantly for Miami.
100%.
They were tanking for Tua. That was the hashtag. Yet they've not had to tank. Got some really good young talent in, acquired a load of draft picks, won a few games, built some momentum in the second half of the season, and then might still get him anyway. And then now, the best case scenario for the Miami Dolphins here is you've got a quarterback next season in Ryan Fitzpatrick who is completely fine with mentoring a quarterback. He's just happy to get on a field. If you went to Fitzy and went, Fitzy, 1 more year. You got 1 more year. Have a farewell tour around the NFL. He's going to love it. Do you think he's the sort of a person that's going to be threatened by Tua? He's not going to care.
No.
He's going to be like, right, keep me on the staff for 2 years. I'll start for 1. I'll back him up in case he's not completely fit. I'll do a 2-year deal. I'll be the starter this year and I'll be on the bench next year. And then I'll retire gracefully. Thanks very much. I've had a great career. He's just there for the ride. And he's the sort of player that is fine with that. You don't have this succession plan. He's a lot of fun. Miami Dolphin fans aren't disillusioned here. They know they're not going to make the playoffs unless something miraculous happens next season. So they're fine with what happens next season. They pick some good young players. They got a lot of draft picks. They get Tua in. I'd probably look to phase Tua in, maybe get him a week 16, week 17 game, maybe give him 2 games. Take all the pressure off. Let him start 2021.
A la Patrick Mahomes.
I think it's great. I think it's all kind of working out nicely. If they just need to get him, but I think that almost fits a little bit too well. They've just got to be careful if someone jumps up the board. That's the only thing they got. But the team that can counter that more than anybody is the Miami Dolphins. And I've got absolutely no doubt that the organization there have been in touch with the teams or will be in touch with the teams at 2, 3, and 4 and say, if you get an offer,
we'll beat it.
Give us a call.
Yeah.
I've got absolutely no... Because Miami Dolphins is the team you want to trade with because they've got all the picks. So the Dolphins can afford to overpay. They can afford to overpay. The other teams can't because they don't have the collateral. But the Dolphins will overpay for Tua.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, now this is a video show, Rush Nation. You can't see behind the glass, but our boy Lee is there with the camera duty.
Yeah, he
he's
is.
smiling like a Cheshire cat. So, yeah, I think he's pretty pleased with all this information.
And don't forget, Lee, we talked week 1, didn't we? We had the Miami special about the tanking, and the plan all along was the ownership loved Tua, and that's what they wanted. They wanted Tua. They wanted him in there. I think for me, this has been best case scenario because they've not had to tank. Won some game, built momentum, and now they're going to get their quarterback potentially.
Perfect.
Stephen Ross is in love with it.
Yeah.
He's absolutely in love. He's at the Alabama game the other day. No coincidence. 3 days before he announces he's going to declare for the draft.
Absolutely.
There you have it. There you have it. So Brady says retirement is pretty unlikely. Murph's alluded to that before. And then the Lions announced that DC Paul Paul P. and offensive line coach Jeff Davidson are stepping away from football. Both coaches joined Detroit in 2018 when Matt Patricia took over the reins.
Yeah, I don't know too much about those guys, but
I know less.
I think it was a question of are they being pushed out? Who knows?
I don't even know Paul P's last name. I can't even get that right. And then last thing on the head coach carousel, the Browns are to hire their head coach first, then the general manager, all with previous NFL experience.
So, speaking to Browns people, Jack Duffin and a number of other Browns fans, there's the route this will either be Josh McDaniels, who they now have completely to themselves, or Kevin Stefanski, who is the offensive coordinator for the Vikings. Those two look like they're going to be the choices. However, there is that sneaky suspicion that Urban Meyer waits in the wings should the Haslams not prove even choice. So that is something that could happen. Today, for me, that is the list of names you need to know. They've had a ton of people in. Eric Bieniemy, Greg Roman, Mike McCarthy, now has a job. Ultimately, the 3 names you're looking for, and if I had to rank them, I would say it is Josh McDaniels, followed by Kevin Stefanski.
Come on now. We're going to have action too.
Podesta, Paul D. Podesta really likes. That's the one he's pushing for, but Josh McDaniels comes with everything that comes from Josh McDaniels. But if the Haslams aren't going to sign off on either, don't be surprised
If Urban Meyer jumps in.
if Urban Meyer himself gets a shout.
Right, Rush Nation. Terminator 1 was good. Terminator 2 was arguably better. Murph, don't look quite so excited, mate. We just don't have time to dive into tight end debate 2.0. The great tight end debate of 2019 was epic. We're going to do it again because I've got a sneaky feeling that Travis Kelce could be worth a higher round pick, but we don't have time to do it today.
Okay.
So, Rush Nation, there is a little tease. It is coming and it is coming soon. So, Murph, hit them streets, big man. Let's do it.
Cool. So, there was some good. I found this probably one of the best street segments of the season.
Wow, big talk.
There is another podcast out there who uses a very similar source to me, and some of these have been played on there. But I wrote these down sort of Sunday, very early Monday. But I've also then mixed it up and got some other ones that weren't mentioned because we vented the streets. The stats came here. DK Metcalf's 160 receiving yards are the most by a rookie in a playoff game in the Super Bowl era. Kirk Cousins in notable games entering the 2019 Wildcard playoff games. He was 0-1 versus winning teams with winning records. He was 6 wins and 30 losses.
That's horrible.
Road games, he was 17 wins, 26 losses and 2 ties. Overtime games, he was 0 wins, 2 losses, 2 ties. Cousins defeated the 13-3 Saints in the 2019 Wildcard on the road in overtime. Kirk Daniel Cousins, what a hero.
Welcome to the big leagues, player.
Yeah, owned it at last. Taysom Hill is the first player in NFL history with 50 passing yards, 50 rushing yards, and 25 receiving yards in a playoff game. Who knows who will get that next? Here's some career playoff receiving TD numbers of notable players. AJ Green, 1. DeAndre Hopkins, 1. Calvin Johnson, Megatron himself, 2. Marvin Harrison, 2. Taysom Hill, 2.
Swiss Army knife.
Taysom Hill's 50-yard completion to Deontay Harris travelled 54.7 yards in the air, longer than any Drew Brees completion by air distance over the last 3 seasons, including the playoffs. The completion probability of that throw was 27.2%, according to Next Gen Stats.
That's ridiculous.
And people tell me that Brees isn't losing it.
Maybe Taysom Hill's gaining it.
Wow. Taysom Hill has played multiple snaps at tight end 5, slot 5, wide receiver 3, quarterback 3, and running back 2 for the 3rd straight game. Up until and entering week 16, he'd had no games like that at all. So he is the ultimate Swiss Army knife. Now, the Vikings fumbling might be a really good omen that the last 3 teams to lose a fumble on the opening drive of a playoff game went on to win the Super Bowl. The 2017 Eagles, the 2013 Seahawks, and the 2012 Ravens.
This is good, Murf.
I'd like to pull it out for you.
This is good.
It gets better.
No, you can't.
The Titans' 71 pass yards are the fewest by any team in the playoff win since the 2009 Ravens, where they had 34 passing yards in a win versus the New England Patriots in the wildcard round. Now, 2009 was the last time the Patriots played in the wildcard round. So the last 2 times they played in the wildcard, they have lost, and they've lost to passing yard totals that were 71 and 34. How do you get beat?
What?
You have Derrick Henry. See ya! Anthony Fertzger is the first player from Harvard to score a touchdown in the playoffs in NFL history. This one I really like. I thought for fun I would pull Derrick Henry's high school stats.
I have seen some of these.
These are not incorrect information. He played 48 games in high school, folks. He had 12,124 rushing yards. It gets better. He had 154 total touchdowns. He averaged 252.6 yards per game. And in his senior year, he had 55 touchdowns. In 12 games.
Well, that's just...
He averaged almost 5 touchdowns a game in high school.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he the only running back Heisman winner of the last 10 years?
Yes. I mean, he is just incredible.
Yeah, he's beast. He's a beast.
This one, I thought I'd save the best for last.
Okay, go.
Deshaun Watson with 55 rushing yards and Josh Allen with 92 rushing yards both led their teams in rushing yards in the wild card opener. This is the first time since 1950, so 70 years, that opposing starting quarterbacks led their respective teams in rushing yards in a playoff game. History was made. What a wildcard weekend. It is in the books. Done.
It was pretty good. We said it was good. I didn't realise it was that good. Well played, sir.
Thanks
well
very
played
much.
indeed. Right, Rush Nation. We got a phone call to get to. So I guess for the first time on video, Murf, this has been an absolute pleasure. Lee, behind the glass, thank you very much for your hard work, sir. Follow us. Excuse me. Follow us on @5YardRush on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Don't forget, if you fancy popping over to the Patreon, throwing a little coin in the tip jar, ka-ching, we would appreciate that. Yeah, Murf. I'll see you Thursday, Lee. I'll see you down the streets. But as always, Rush Nation, don't forget, keep rushing.
Boom.